All right, so get this. You reached out because you've got this big tax senior interview coming up, right?
Sounds about right.
And you wanted to like really understand what it takes to nail it.
Yep.
So we're going deep today, folks, using some questions and answers straight from Indeed.com.
Excellent source.
But we're not just reading them off. We're dissecting them, figuring out what's between the lines.
Exactly what employers are looking for beyond the surface.
Right, because you can memorize answers all day long, but...
Doesn't mean you understand the why behind them.
Exactly. So first thing that kind of jumped out at me going through these questions
Hit me.
was how much they emphasize soft skills,
Ah, interesting.
like communication, teamwork, even attention to detail.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, because you think taxes is all numbers, spreadsheets.
Right? Very analytical.
But Indeed specifically calls those soft skills out as crucial for a tax senior. So I'm thinking there's got to be more to it than we realize.
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. I mean, think about it. A tax senior,
Yeah.
they're not just crunching numbers in a cubicle somewhere.
All right, they're dealing with people.
They're the bridge between these super complex tax regulations and clients who probably don't speak tax.
It's true. Most people are like, when it comes to tax jargon.
Exactly. So being able to explain things clearly, reassuring clients, building that trust,
That's huge.
it's a huge part of the job. And then there's teamwork. Tax projects can be massive,
Oh, yeah.
multiple people involved, deadlines.
Pressure's on.
You got to be able to collaborate, effectively communicate with your team
Work together.
seamlessly, like a well-oiled machine. And of course, let's not forget about attention to detail.
Oh, yeah. One tiny mistake.
One tiny error can snowball in the tax world.
Audits fines.
Exactly. It can get messy. So accuracy is non-negotiable.
Makes total sense. So
Okay.
basically you're saying that, yeah, technical skills, those are the foundation.
Absolutely the bedrock.
But these soft skills, they're what really make a good tax senior a great one.
They're the differentiator.
Yeah.
They show employers that you can handle the numbers.
Yep.
But also the people, the pressure, and the complexities of real-world tax situations.
You got to be the whole package.
The whole package. That's what they're looking for.
All right, so let's actually jump into some specific questions from Indeed,
Love it. Let's get into the nitty-gritty.
because I know that's what you're really here for.
Yeah.
So one that really stood out to me was, what is your experience with tax auditing?
Classic question.
Right. And Indeed actually gives a sample answer, which I'll read out here. In my previous role as a tax associate, I managed several tax audits from beginning to end. I was responsible for organizing all necessary documentation, liaising with the auditors, and responding to their questions and requests. My attention to detail and comprehensive understanding of tax laws greatly contributed to a smooth audit process.
Okay, so what are your initial thoughts on that response?
I mean, it sounds pretty good. It's detailed. It highlights some key skills.
It does, but let's break down why it works.
Yeah, because anyone can say, oh, I have experience with audits.
Right, that tells us nothing.
So what makes this answer different?
Structure. This answer follows a very clear path, the role you played.
Okay, so starting with tax associate.
Then the specific responsibilities you had, organizing documentation, talking to the auditors.
Handling those requests.
And finally, the positive outcome, a smooth audit process.
So it's almost like telling a mini success story.
Exactly. You're showcasing your capabilities without getting lost in the weeds.
I like that a success story. It's more memorable.
And it paints a picture of you in action.
Right. It's not just words on a resume. It's you actually doing the thing.
And that's what you want in an interview to make that strong impression.
To show them you can walk the walk.
To demonstrate your competence in a concise and impactful way.
Okay, love it. So moving on, this next question is super relevant for anyone wanting to get ahead in tax.
Let's hear it.
It's all about staying up to date.
Yeah.
Because we all know those tax laws, they're constantly changing.
Oh, tell me about it. It's a never-ending game of catch-up.
Right. It can feel overwhelming. So the question Indeed poses is, how do you stay up to date with changing tax laws and regulations?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing this isn't about knowing every single update. It's more about how you approach learning.
You're absolutely right. Anyone can rattle off a list of webinars they attended or websites they visit.
But what are they really looking for?
They want to see a proactive approach.
Okay, so like what does that look like?
Think about it. Do you actively seek out reputable sources of information? Are you critically evaluating what you're reading?
Not just blindly accepting everything.
Exactly. And how do you actually integrate learning into your already busy schedule?
So it's about going beyond just what you learn. It's about the hey how.
It's about that mindset of continuous learning, of always being on top of your game.
Showing them you're not just passively absorbing information, but actually engaging with it.
making it part of your professional DNA.
I love that. So it's not just about knowing today's tax laws, but having the skills and mindset to adapt to whatever changes come your way.
And trust me, those changes are coming. They always are.
So that adaptability is gold to employers.
It's like having a superpower in the tax world.
Okay, I'm ready for my next superpower. What's the next question?
All right. This one tests both your tax knowledge and your communication skills.
Ooh, a double whammy. Because let's be real, they kind of go hand in hand in this role.
They're intertwined.
The question is, could you explain a complex tax requirement or ruling to a client?
Ah, yes, the classic translator question.
Right, because it's one thing to understand it yourself
But can you break it down for someone who doesn't have a tax degree?
and make it make sense to them.
It's a delicate balance for sure.
So how do you walk that tightrope?
The example Indeed provides focuses on a few key things, breaking things down into simpler parts,
Okay.
using everyday language, avoiding jargon,
That's you.
and giving relatable examples.
So they can actually picture it.
All great starting points. But I'd add another layer, empathy.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Imagine you're sitting across from that client. What are their concerns?
What are they struggling to understand?
What's their comfort level with all this tax jargon?
So it's not just about delivering information. It's about understanding where they're coming from.
Tailoring your explanation to their needs, you're building a relationship,
Showing them you care.
demonstrating that you're invested in their success. And that can make all the difference.
Especially when dealing with complex tax stuff that can be pretty stressful for people.
Exactly. You're their guide, their advocate in this potentially confusing world.
Okay, this next question might seem pretty straightforward, but I think it reveals a lot about a candidate's mindset.
Let's hear it.
It's what tax software are you familiar with?
Ah, the tech question.
Now, obviously, the specific software might vary depending on the company,
And the industry.
but what's the bigger message you should be conveying here?
I think there are two key points. First, showcase your technical skills,
Right, mention the software you've used.
especially those that align with the role you're applying for.
So do your research.
But equally important is showing that you're adaptable and willing to learn new systems.
So it's a blend of, I've got the skills, and I'm ready to learn whatever you throw at me.
Exactly. You're not just comfortable with what, you're eager to expand your skill set.
That growth mindset is appealing to employers.
It shows you're invested in your own development and in staying at the forefront of the field.
Now, before we jump into some real-life scenarios,
I'm ready.
there's one more I want to touch on that kind of sets the stage for what it really means to be a tax senior.
All right, bring it on.
This question is, what are the responsibilities of a tax senior?
Getting to the heart of the role.
Right. And again, the specifics might vary from company to company,
Of course.
but what are some core responsibilities that are pretty universal?
Well, it goes beyond just preparing tax returns.
I figured as much.
A tax senior is a bit of a conductor.
Okay. I like that analogy.
They're overseeing various aspects of the tax process.
So like what specifically?
Supervising junior staff, reviewing tax returns for accuracy, conducting research on complex tax issues.
Wow, that's a lot.
Advising clients on tax planning strategies, staying up to date on all those tax law changes.
So it's a step up from an entry-level position, for sure.
Definitely involves more responsibility, more leadership,
They're looking for someone who can take ownership.
handle more complex tasks, contribute more strategically to the team's goals.
So it's not just about knowing the tax code. It's about leading and guiding others.
It's about being a mentor, a resource, a problem solver.
Okay, so we've covered some of the foundational skills and responsibilities of a tax senior.
But we've only just scratched the surface.
Right. Now let's dive into those real-life scenario questions,
Where things get really interesting.
because I think those are where you can really shine and show employers what you're made of.
Let's do it.
Okay, so real-life scenarios. Let's see how you handle these curveballs.
This is where you really get to show them what you're capable of.
Right. So one question that stood out to me was, how have you helped a client reduce their tax liability in a legal and ethical manner?
Ah, yes, the classic tax saving question.
Because everyone wants to save money on taxes, right?
Of course,
Oh.
but it's got to be done the right way.
Legally and ethically.
Exactly. No shady business.
So I feel like this is where you can show off those creative problem-solving skills.
Absolutely. It's about thinking strategically, knowing the tax code inside and out,
And using that knowledge to benefit your clients.
while staying firmly on the right side of the law.
Because nobody wants to end up in trouble with the IRS.
No kidding. So if you get hit with this question in an interview,
Yeah.
I'd go for a story that highlights both your technical expertise and D, your ability to think outside the box.
Okay, I like it. Give me an example.
Let's say you had a client who was about to sell a property,
Okay.
and they were facing a huge capital gains tax bill.
Ouch.
Instead of just accepting that as inevitable, you dug deeper, explored different options.
Like what?
Maybe you found a way to defer those gains through a 1031 exchange.
Ah, I see. So you're not just crunching numbers, you're finding creative solutions.
Exactly. You're being proactive, resourceful.
And always looking for those win-win situations.
Where the client benefits, A&D stays compliant with the law.
Okay, love it. Now, this next question, nobody really loves talking about conflict.
Oh boy. Yeah, it can get uncomfortable.
But the question is, can you describe a situation where you had a conflict with a coworker and how you resolved it?
It's a tough one, but it's important
Because conflict happens, right?
in any workplace.
So what are they really looking for with this question?
They want to see how you handle those tricky interpersonal situations.
Do you crumble under pressure or do you rise to the occasion?
Exactly. They're not looking for drama. They want someone who can resolve conflict constructively.
And maintain a positive work environment.
So the key here is to focus on the resolution.
Okay, so not dwelling on the details of the conflict itself,
Right. Talk about how you approach the situation
the steps you took to find a solution.
and the positive outcome you achieved.
Did you listen actively to your coworker's perspective?
Did you try to find common ground?
Communicate clearly and respectfully.
It's about showcasing your emotional intelligence, your maturity,
Your ability to have those difficult conversations.
in a professional and productive way.
And if you can mention anything you learned from the experience,
Even better.
shows that you're self-aware and always looking to improve.
Always striving for better communication, better collaboration.
Okay, here's another one that could be tough. What has been your most challenging tax case and how did you handle it?
Oh, yeah, the pressure cooker question.
This one feels pretty intimidating, but I'm guessing it's a chance to show off those problem-solving skills.
Absolutely. It's all about storytelling. Paint a picture of the situation,
The obstacles you faced,
the strategies you employed.
and the outcome you achieved.
Don't be afraid to get into the nitty-gritty details. They want to see your thought process.
How you break down a complex problem.
Exactly.
And even if the outcome wasn't perfect,
You can still highlight those valuable lessons learned.
did you develop new skills?
Seek out additional resources.
Refine your approach.
It's about turning a potential negative into a positive.
Showing that you learn from your experiences and come out stronger.
Resilience. That's a valuable quality in any field.
All right, now let's revisit a topic we touched on earlier, adaptability.
Ah, yes. The ever-changing landscape of tax.
The question is, have you ever had to learn a new tax software? How did you find the process?
So much of this job is about embracing new technology.
Right, because things are constantly evolving.
Software updates new platforms.
So they want to see that you're not intimidated by a learning curve.
that you're resourceful and committed to staying ahead of the curve.
So what's the best way to answer this one?
Don't just say, yes, I learned it.
Tell the story.
That learning journey. Did you use online tutorials?
See guidance from colleagues.
Dive into the documentation.
Show them you're proactive and able to adapt.
And if you face any challenges along the way,
Oh yeah, there are always challenges.
talk about how you overcame those obstacles, what resources you used.
You shows resilience, problem solving.
Exactly. That you're not afraid to roll up your sleeves and figure things out.
Okay, one more question before we move on to tailoring your answers to the specific company.
Sounds good.
This one really gets to the heart of that client-facing aspect of the tax senior role.
Let's hear it.
How would you explain a tax law change to a client who does not have a background in finance?
Ah, the communication challenge.
Because tax law can be so complex.
It's like a foreign language to most people.
And as a tax senior, you're the translator.
You need to break it down,
No.
make it understandable.
Build trust through clear explanations.
So what are some key things to keep in mind?
Okay, I'm all ears.
First and foremost, ditch the jargon.
No one wants to be bombarded with technical terms.
Exactly. Use plain language, relatable examples.
Make it digestible.
And don't be afraid to ask the client clarifying questions.
Make sure they're following along.
It shows that you care about their understanding.
That you're not just talking AT them, you're engaging with them.
Building that connection, that rapport.
It's all about trust.
Remember, you're not just conveying information. You're addressing their concerns, reassuring them.
That you're there to guide them through the maze of tax law.
You're their advocate or partner.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. From conflict resolution to explaining complex tax concepts.
But there's one crucial element we still need to address.
Okay, what's that?
Tailoring your answers to the specific company and its tax focus.
Ah, yes. Showing them you've done your research,
Mm.
that you're not just looking for any tax senior position.
But that you want to work for them specifically.
Okay, I'm ready for that challenge. Let's move on. Okay, so we're talking tailoring our answers to the specific company and its tax focus. I gotta admit, I sometimes skip this step when I'm prepping for interviews.
It's easy to overlook, but it makes a huge
Right.
difference.
It's like you said, bringing the right dish to the dinner party.
Exactly. You want to show them you've put in the extra effort to understand their needs.
So where do we even start?
The company's website is your best friend.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
What should we be looking for?
Their tax services, their client profiles, any news or publications related to tax.
So basically getting a feel for their specialties, who they work with, their overall approach.
Exactly. You want to understand their brand, their values, their place in the tax landscape.
Okay, got it. What about social media? Should we be stalking them on LinkedIn and Twitter?
Social media can be a goldmine. It gives you a glimpse into their culture, their personality.
So it's not just about what they do, but how they do it.
Exactly. Look for posts, articles, discussions related to tax topics.
So we can see what they're talking about, what they're passionate about.
You can get a sense of their vibe, what's important to them.
Love it. Now, what about industry-specific resources? Should we be digging into those as well?
Absolutely. If they specialize in a certain industry, like tech or real estate,
Yeah.
look for publications, professional associations, regulatory updates.
So we can be up to date on the latest trends and challenges in that industry.
Exactly. It shows them you're not just knowledgeable about tax, but about their specific niche.
Okay, so we've done all this research. We understand the company's tax focus. Now, how do we actually use this knowledge in our interview answers?
It's all about making connections, showing them that you understand their specific needs and how your skills align with those needs.
Give me an example. Let's say they ask about your experience with tax software.
Instead of just listing the software you've used, mention how your experience matches their needs.
Oh.
Like, if they work with high net worth individuals, highlight your experience with estate planning software.
Ah, I see. So it's about being specific, showing them you've thought about how your skills apply to their client base.
Exactly. You're not just a skilled tax professional. You're a perfect fit for their team and their clients.
Now, what about those open-ended questions like, tell me about a challenging tax case? How do we tailor those responses?
Think about the types of cases or clients they typically handle.
So if they specialize in international tax,
Share an example of a complex cross-border transaction you worked on.
and if they work mainly with small businesses,
Talk about a time you helped a small business owner navigate a tricky tax deduction.
it's all about choosing examples that resonate with their experience.
Showing them you've done your homework and you're genuinely interested in their world.
I feel like we've covered so much ground in this deep dive. It's been a whirlwind of information, but I think we've given our listener a solid foundation for that tax senior interview.
Remember, preparation is key. Research the company, practice your answers.
And go in there with confidence.
You got this. Let your passion for tax shine through.
That's right. So to everyone listening, we hope this deep dive has been helpful, and we wish you the best of luck in your interview.
Absolutely. And if you ever want to dive into another topic, just let us know.
We're always here to help you navigate the world of knowledge.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.